Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Jimmy Foosball here, excited to bring you the HFL 2024 playoffs round one recap. Let's get immediately into the shits. The postseason begins. So in this recap, we'll be briefly discussing the constellation, but focusing more on the playoffs, beginning with our fantasy player of the week, Mike Evans, dropping 33.4 points, 9 receptions, 159 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kicker of the week is Chase McLaughlin, 18.4 points, 4 for 4 field goals, 4 for 4 extra points. And our defense of the week, Philadelphia Eagles, putting up 10 points with a fumble recovery and 13 points allowed. And without further ado, our first matchup in the playoffs we will be discussing is the game of the week. It is between Just My and Brees Company. Cleary defeats Mike 104.14 to 92.46. Mike remains without a playoff win in his career. This loss guarantees the first double champ in HFL history. The top performers for Cleary are Terry McLaurin, Josh Jacobs, and Chase McLaughlin. Cleary starts Tua, who puts up 3.84 points. He also has Jalen Waddle, who gets injured and puts up a donut. Darnell Mooney, earlier trade acquisition for Cleary, also putting up a donut, but it doesn't matter because he still gets the W with the help of Josh Jacobs, 94 yards, a touchdown, and a fumble, 19.6 points, along with Justin Jefferson, 7 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown for him. And Scary Terry, 7 receptions, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns, 22.8 points. Cleary's top performer of the week. Chase McLaughlin, our kicker of the week. Top performers for Mike are Malik Neighbors, Patrick Mahomes, and Brees Hall. Patrick Mahomes suffers a high ankle sprain and does leave the game slightly early, but before that he puts up 159 yards, 2 touchdowns for 15.76 points. Derrick Henry puts up his worst performance of the entire season. Of course, he waits for this week to do so, only putting up 6.7 points, 67 yards. And Cooper Kupp opens up the playoffs round one with a donut performance. Malik Neighbors, 10 receptions, 82 yards, and a touchdown for 19.2 points. Brees Hall gets a bailout garbage time touchdown, 30 yards, and a touchdown for 12.1 points. Cleary moves on to the second round of the playoffs, where he will be facing Sosa Jeff, our first seed in the playoffs. Here we'll look quickly at Sosa Jeff during the bye week. You can pause the video if you want to see how his team did. 135.1 total points. But quickly moving on to our second playoff matchup, it is between I'm on a Boat and Bamford legend. Barty defeats Fink in historic fashion, damn near overlapping him by 100 points. 173.54 to Fink's 79.78 points. Fink, who was once in the driver's seat, slowly started to decline after trading away Saquon Barkley. He drops the lowest point total this week of any teams, including the constellation. Top performers for Barty include Mike Evans, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Brian Thomas Jr. Jaden Daniels, 226, 2 touchdowns for 23.64 points. Amon-Ra, 14 receptions, 193 yards, and a touchdown for 31.3 points. BTJ, 10 receptions, 105 and 2 touchdowns, 28.5 points. I mean, these stat lines are absolutely absurd. Very strong performance for Lombardi this week. On the other side for Fink, his top performers, Garrett Wilson, Jonathan Taylor, and the Philadelphia Eagles defense. The stack of Purdy, Kittle, and Juwan Jennings does not do as well as they did in previous weeks. Purdy putting up 3.98 points, Kittle 8.1, Juwan Jennings 4.1 for a grand total of damn, that's some dog shit. Jonathan Taylor 107 yards and a fumble, 10.6 yards. He broke a fat run that would have been a touchdown, but he fumbled on the 1-yard line. He dropped the ball or something. That is just the epitome of Fink trading away Saquon Barkley right there. Garrett Wilson, 3 receptions, 56 yards, and a touchdown for 13.1 points. Philadelphia defense, our defense of the week, we already discussed them. Yeah, overall, a dominant performance from Lombardi, who moves on to the next round in the Best Friends Forever 2 matchup against Squidward Tortellini. That is going to be an exciting one to watch. And speaking of Tortellini, here's his team on the bye week right here. Unfortunately, he does lose David Montgomery, and according to the screenshot, Younghoe Koo is on IR. I did not see what happened there. The loss of David Montgomery definitely big for Squidward Tortellini, who puts up 163. And quickly going over our consolation matchups, there's really not much to say here. Fratty Jones defeats Daddy Jones, aka Kamish, 136 to 91. If the stack doesn't go off, Kamish doesn't go off. He falls to the next round of consolation. Moving on to the next matchup, we got Intimidation Infinite XX versus Hairline Avengers. Hairline Avengers putting up 179.16 points in the consolation though, so really no one gives a shit. Frank falling to the next consolation matchup there. And the final consolation matchup is between the manager and Mr. Miami. The manager gets the dub 115 to Mr. Miami's 98. But with the manager being the 12th seed of the entire HFL, he has not completely ducked the consolation last place game yet. So we're moving forward to the second round of the playoffs. We have Just My versus Sosa Jeff. A big matchup. They've been talking back and forth. Not really talking, just sending pictures. It's kind of some weak sauce, I'm gonna be honest, but it's cool. A little back and forth, jab for jab. The second matchup of the playoffs is I'm on a Boat versus Squidward Tortellini. Both go radio silent treatment. They are silent assassins on that matchup. I don't expect to hear anything from either of them until the matchup is over and some GGs are due. In the consolation, there's only two matchups that really matter. We got the manager versus Daddy Jones and Mr. Miami versus Intimidation Infinite XX. The losers of both of these matchups will be seeing each other for the last place game, last place punishment on the line. And with all that being said, these recaps might be a little shorter. We really got to focus in on what's really important here. There's a lot of matchups that aren't so important anymore. Everybody's going to be in the same building on Saturday. There's going to be some chirping, and I can't wait to see what happens. Some football games on Saturday as well, so we'll be watching together. And with that being said, my name is Jimmy Foosball. Thank you for watching the HFL Playoffs Round 1 recap. I will see you next week for Round 2. We'll see what happens. Peace.